Alright, Power Tempest. I don't actually have very much to say about this build, which I probably should have thought about beforehand because this is one of the longer fights. I swear the series is not an elaborate excuse to not have to do cannons on Sabetha. Anyway, this build really only has one notable thing about it, and that's conjure weapons. This is the conjure weapon build. It is the build that uses conjure weapons the most. If you like conjure weapons, you're gonna like this build. If you hate conjure weapons, you're gonna hate this build. And it also means that about 30% of your effectiveness is determined entirely by how much people want to mess with you. Conjure gimmick aside, the actual core loop of this build is pretty easy to grasp. You just want to cast your air overload as much as humanly possible. Everything else just exists to fill space. It also means this build can't ever really punish you for mistakes, because worst case scenario, you mess something up, you go back into air, and then you end up auto-attacking for a little bit. So it ends up as one of those easy to learn, hard to master builds because the specific interactions between your skills and how conjure weapons work and how those interact with bosses is really interesting and can take a lot of skill to learn, but it's also not necessary. And that's kinda where the good ends on this. Unlike Condi Tempest, you don't have the same survivability options, and your utility slots are a lot more valuable, meaning it's harder to slot in other stuff. You can generally replace the glyph if you really need it, but that's also kind of it. Swapping around conjure weapons to fit rebound feels really bad. On the other hand, Eye of the Storm and Aftershock are still really good skills, so you got something at least. Something I unfortunately didn't get to talk about in the last video because I just ran out of time in the fight is the option to do alacrity support, which I much rather would have talked about in the last one, because Condi is actually good at doing that, Power very much is not. Which is a bit weird. You'd think that the build that constantly does overloads would be good at giving alacrity through overloads. But because you're not rotating through, say, fire overload, you actually don't really give anything else, and you can't really fit anything else into your rotation. And you end up having to give up more damage compared to Condi just to be able to do alacrity and nothing else. Except like maybe Fury or something. But yeah, don't play Power Alacrity Tempest, it's bad. Instead of doing that, you can watch the rest of the video. I'm now going to leave you with the very intelligent lady that is burning the platform that she is also standing on. And if you feel like seeing more of whatever this is, you can subscribe if you feel like it. I'll try to get these out at least twice a week going forward. So yeah. Have a nice week.